Obviously, Tim Fuller here, and it's great to be back. I honestly feel like I'm in my own skin. I've made a lot of stops since my last stint here at University of Missouri, but Coach Gates offered me the opportunity to come back. It was something that just felt like I was coming home, and obviously being out there with all the former players today, guys that I've coached, guys that have built legacies here, is an honor and a privilege to share the gym and share that space with them. Look forward to serving as general manager here to help Coach Gates and his task of building rosters, obviously, and pursuing being successful in the transfer portal. It's a new day in college basketball, and as Coach Gates and I have sat and spent several days, hours, weeks together coming up with this plan, it's been, and like I said, an honor and a privilege.
All right, questions?
Tim, Eli Hoff from the Post-Dispatch in St. Louis. Just when did you and Coach Gates first cross paths on your basketball journeys?
So, ironically enough, Coach Gates and I started building a quasi-relationship when he was still an assistant at Florida State. So, as you guys know, basketball is a small ecosystem. So we often cross paths, and I followed him at Cleveland State. Watched his success. But when he first took the job at University of Missouri, within that first week, as I'd done with every head coach that came in from after me, I called him to congratulate him and to let him know that if there was anything that I could do to assist him in his transition, that I would be available. And so we just kept the relationship going from that very first call here, and we would talk periodically once a month, just about Missouri, its basketball. At one point, I took over the program at Overtime Elite, and we had several recruits there that had interest in Missouri, and Missouri had interest in them. So Coach and I would talk periodically about them as well.
Tim, Gabe DeArmond, this job means different things at different places. What have your conversations with Dennis been like as far as what your role is and how you see this job?
Gabe, it's the role of general manager is an ever evolving role. I think that initially Coach has me on certain tasks to understand the landscape first and foremost of where we're heading as college basketball. We obviously just introduced revenue sharing. There's some transitions from collectives, and the opportunities that our players have to be in a position of understanding their own name, image, and likeness, and owning their brand. So really wearing different hats is what we discussed from my marketing days at Nike, how to help them with their branding, how to help our players with their branding, from my Overtime Elite days of building social media and understanding the impact of what a player's brand can do over the internet, and how they need to own that space and protect that space, and then also just my relationships here in this corridor from a Missouri standpoint, and a lot of the supporters of that program to allow them to have access to our players without infringing on their own personal time. But how do we continue to build those bridges and close those gaps?
Tim, Joey Van Zummern from On SI. I'm just wondering, from your perspective of being an assistant coach for the last 2 seasons, of how difficult the schedule can be to manage for a coaching staff, and how you think you can kind of help ease that.
And that's, Joey's definitely something that I have been kind of more creating in my own mind, how to help serve the assistant coaches. I believe that we're in a place where people like myself that have to study the outside ecosystem will be in a position of making sure that we're set up to properly evaluate and construct a roster once transfer portal comes in postseason and we have to fill gaps and holes. I think that the assistant coaches' main responsibilities and kind of their day-to-day is about building the proper relationships with the current players and the retention of those players, because the first players that you have to recruit when it comes to transfer portal are your own, and making sure that you're retaining the guys that you want to keep to help continuity and keep building your rosters. Coach Gates, when he first came to University of Missouri, brought several players from Cleveland State with him. They knew his system, they knew the culture, they knew him, and you saw what that team was able to do, some phenomenal things. Obviously, we all know the injury bug hit, but then Coach was able to retain guys that he needed to retain, and we saw what that team was able to do. So retention for Coach Gates and his culture and what he wants to build moving forward, I think is check mark number one. And then evaluating the transfer portal and filling in the gaps through elite high school recruiting is check mark number two.
Tim Drew King with PowerMizzou.com. Obviously, you had spent time here as an assistant coach before. What made you want to come back to Missouri specifically?
Specifically, that's a great question, Drew. I appreciate you asking that. Specifically, here at University of Missouri, it's the people. I tell recruits all the time when I'm in a position to talk to them that, you don't make decisions off the names on the buildings. You make decisions based off the heartbeats inside those walls in that building. And the people at Missouri, not just staff, but supporters in this community, have embraced me, embraced my children, and embraced throughout me not even being here. And it continued to make me feel special about Missouri, special about my time here, and just coming back, sitting on the sidelines with supporters and them, the smiles on their face and the welcome back, shaking hands with Mike Alden and his wife and them, the big hugs and the smiles and the welcome back. It just further confirms and consummates that's a shared feeling that this is a special place and they feel special about me as I do about them.
Tim, Calvin Kendrick, Columbia Daily Tribune. What has your day-to-day looked like since you've arrived back in Columbia? How do you envision that changing over the next couple?
Right. So initially coming in the door, I have been learning from Coach Gates and the staff, and just evaluating where the areas that they would need me to plug in the gaps. Excellent teachers on the basketball court. Coach Gates is as much as you see him as a head coach, he's a CEO and manages every personality uniquely and head on. I've wanted to come in these initial, I gave Coach a 100-day plan, and the first 10% of that 100 days was to get to know the players and to understand them and for them to have a chance to get to know me. The second kind of phase, I would say 30% of that plan, was to get to know the agents that the staff already knew and to introduce them to agents that I might have relationships with. So we have several buckets that we're putting these relationships in. One is an agent bucket, one is an elite player high school bucket, and then there's an international bucket, so that we can all collaborate on the different approaches that we're going to have. We have several coaches going to the FIBA events. While they're at some of the FIBA events, I'll be meeting with agents. Coach Gates and I will go to Summer League, NBA Summer League this summer in Las Vegas, and I'm setting up meetings now so that I can get certain agents on his calendar as well, just so we can start to understand what their expectations are moving forward in this new day of college basketball, and also share our expectations in terms of the quality and types of athletes and people that we want to be part of the program.
Hey Tim, Quentin Corpio with the Columbia Missourian. I'm just curious, in the social media age and now in the NIL age, with players being able, as you said, build personal brands, how is your process of building relationships with players? How has that had to evolve, especially over the past few years?
Unique that you asked that, right? Because one of the first things that these young men do is look you up on Instagram, right? And so like when I was first, coaching, or I was first doing anything, there wasn't, Twitter was just kind of emerging and wasn't really an Instagram, so you would text people on phone numbers. ironically enough, there was a video posted of my time with Amin and Asar Thompson, and how I discovered them at Overtime Elite. And currently, just the other day, Overtime, people texted me and said, this video's done 1.6 million views. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, what? And so as I go through and look at a lot of the comments, some people have sent me questions from Mizzou players texting that post to them, people they knew outside, and saying, hey, you know this guy, what's up with